Here's something else that's happening today, or this happened yesterday. And this is something, we're going to watch this video, and this is quite disturbing. Ready for this? So check this out. Wait, this is, yeah, here we go. Here's the tweet I want. This is Rebekah Jones. Here's what Rebekah Jones has to say. There will be no update today. At 8:30 a.m. this morning, state police came into my house and took all my hardware and tech. They were serving a warrant on my computer after DOH filed a complaint. They pointed a gun in my face. They pointed guns at my kids. Now, who is Rebekah Jones? You may have heard about this already, but Rebekah Jones was a woman who was instructed to manipulate some of the data related to COVID-19. She was instructed to manipulate some of the data to make it seem like it was not as severe as it was. She refused to do that. And she eventually left her job, and she blew the whistle on all this. Since then, there was allegedly a hack that occurred. And Governor DeSantis in Florida is claiming that it was her. We've seen no evidence to indicate that it was her, and she's claiming it was not her because she didn't even have access to the things she would have needed to have access to for months now because she left her job. She doesn't have her job anymore. So she doesn't have all this insider access that she would have needed to do this hack anyway. That's what she's saying. And we're going to watch this video. And what's interesting here is you have to ask yourself the question, even if she did do this hack and spread this information for the public good, is this in any way a warranted response? Even if she did, which I don't, and just to be clear here, I don't think she did. I don't think she did at all. I think it's a red herring that they're using to brutalize this woman. I think this is just Governor DeSantis behaving like an authoritarian dictator. That's what I think this is. Because let's watch what they do to this woman. Here we go. So there's the police at her house.
Come outside. Outside.
Who else is in the house, man?
My 2 children and my husband.
Where's your husband at?
Calm down. Calm down.
So notice this. All right, here, wait. I want to pause it. So notice they stuck a gun in her face. They entered her house. They asked her who else is in the house. She says, my children. She put her hands up. She's completely cooperating. And they're yelling at her to calm down. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that like gaslighting 101? She put her hands up, was totally cooperative, told them who's in the house. They're telling her to calm down. Dude, she's cooperating with you. She's doing everything you're telling her to do. Why are you telling her to calm down? You're the one waving a freaking gun around. What are you worried? Are you worried some data is going to attack you? Are you worried, oh man, she's armed with some dangerous data. The data is going to attack us. It might fill our brains with information that'll make us think for ourselves for the first time in our fucking lives. So let's watch what they do. Let's keep watching this. And I know it's hard to watch. This is fucking hard to watch. This is the United States. This is the land of the free, quote unquote. Let's watch it.
Calm them all down.
Mr. Jones, come down the stairs.
She told them her kids are home. They have guns drawn. She said her kids are upstairs. They draw the guns for the kids. Land of the free. This is the United States. This is our country. This is what we're told is a free society. This is what we're told values freedom of speech and freedom of expression. This is the country where we're told that dissidence is actually the highest form of patriotism. And this woman who blew the whistle for the benefit of her fellow man, this is how she's treated by the governor.
Stairs, now!
Police, come down now.
Guns drawn for the
Bring
kids.
your
Down the
children.
stairs.
I noticed later they mentioned they have a search warrant. After they're in, going through the house with guns drawn, they mentioned search warrant. That's great.
Children!
Hang on, let me clear my
He just pointed a gun at my children!
Search warrant.
Those are psychopaths. Those are brain-dead psychopaths pointing guns at children, raiding this woman's home. Even if she is guilty of what they're accusing her of, which I don't think she is, but even if she is, that is a political offense. If you're spreading, or it's supposed to be, if you're spreading information for the public good, even if you hacked it, which is illegal, that is a political offense. This is a warranted response to a political offense? Bursting into someone's home with guns drawn? This is psychotic. This is authoritarianism. This is a blatant assault against the First Amendment. This is a blatant assault against freedom of expression, against the right to information. And this is a warning sign from the powers that be. That's what this is. So let's read her thread. They took my phone and the computer I use every day to post the case numbers in Florida and school cases for the entire country. They took evidence of corruption at the state level. They claimed it was about a security breach. This was DeSantis, it's the governor. He sent the Gestapo. This is what happens to scientists who do their job honestly. This is what happens to people who speak truth to power. I tell them my husband and my 2 children are upstairs, and then one of them draws his gun on my children. This is DeSantis' Florida. And this is more than DeSantis' Florida, folks. This is the United States. This is the United States. If DeSantis thought that, going back to our Twitter thread here, if DeSantis thought pointing a gun in my face was a good way to get me to shut up, he's about to learn just how wrong he was. I'll have a new computer tomorrow. And then I'm going to get back to work. If you want help, my website is still up. And FloridaCovidAction.com is our website. Now, I will say this, and I will tip my hat where it's due. I expected the corporate media to have a complete blackout on this. I really did. So I'll give a little credit where it's due, just to be fair here, and you know, maybe to dose a little bit of hope here, a little bit of uplifting news here. Here's she tweets, I'll be joining Chris Cuomo on Cuomo Primetime to talk about what happened, and that did in fact happen. She went on here. Let me pull that up. She did go on Chris Cuomo's show, and he gave her some airtime. So you know, you guys know me. I give credit where it's due, and I'll be fair here. I was expecting a complete media blackout from the corporate media. There was a little bit of coverage. It's sad that the bar is that low, that it's like, well, I was expecting a complete blackout. They did their jobs for a change. It's sad that the bar is that low, but that's what happens when you have a media that is run by corporations. That's what happens, folks. It becomes authoritarian, and it already has. But, and here's the clip that went viral from it. Rebekah Jones' house was raided by Florida State Police today, and she's on Cuomo Primetime to tell Ron DeSantis she's not scared of him. Here's the clip.
DeSantis needs to worry less about what I'm writing about and more about the people who are sick and dying in his state. And doing this to me will not stop me from reporting the data. There you go. Kudos to her. Kudos to her for being a truth teller. Kudos to her for sticking up what was right, even though it cost her job. And here's another piece of good news related to all this. Some people are acting out too. Ron Filipkowski, a lifelong GOP member, by the way, this guy's a Republican. He's a GOP lawyer. He was appointed by Governor DeSantis to the 12th Circuit Judicial Nominating Commission, resigned in protest. He resigned in protest over how DeSantis blocked public access to truthful data after the raid of COVID-19 data analyst Rebekah Jones' home. So he's resigning in protest over this. And if you follow Rebekah Jones on Twitter, which her Twitter account is just Rebekah Jones, Rebekah Jones, Jones, you can find out more information about her and everything that's going on around her. I know there is a GoFundMe to support her efforts. And stuff like this is just chilling, folks, where you see authoritarianism, blatant
blunt and brutal authoritarianism towards journalists. Well, not a journalist in this case, just a whistleblower. I mean, well, I guess you could call her a journalist too. I think that's fair. But somebody who is spreading truthful information out there and is blowing the whistle when it's necessary to tell the public what they need to know. This is how she's being treated. And, you know, we think that freedom of the press is something that we just kind of have in droves here. But it's not. In fact, when you look at a lot of the press freedom indexes that are out there, the real ones, not the bullshit ones where they have people like Adam Schiff on the board, but real press freedom indexes, the United States barely ranks in the top 50. 5-0. They are barely in the top 50. And we have all this propaganda about, oh, state-run media. If we have state-run media, oh my God. You know what's worse than state-run media? And I'm not going to sit here and say the BBC doesn't have its problems. It does. I'm not going to sit here and say the CBC doesn't have its problems. It does. Absolutely they do. And that's a whole different story for a whole different day. But you know what? You know what is infinitely worse than any state-run media system? Way worse, what we have. A corporate-controlled media. That is infinitely worse 100% of the time. So, you know, our media structure is absolutely abhorrent. It is disgusting. It is the opposite of the idea of democracy. And it should be illegal. And in a lot of other countries, it would be, by the way. You know, one of the countries that has one of the great press freedom rankings out there, one of the best ones, Norway. Our media wouldn't be legal in Norway. Because in Norway, they have a board that oversees this stuff, that oversees press freedom. And they monitor what media outlets are doing. And media outlets have to be transparent about who funds them. And they monitor what kind of advertising is permitted on news and information. And they make sure that journalists are treated right and treated fairly and are free to do their jobs without fear of persecution. They have a board of elected people that consist of media makers and journalists and academics and lawyers who try to oversee that the media is as free as it can possibly be. Both for the consumers, meaning when you see something, you know who funds these people. Who advertises with them? And the stuff that our corporate media does, where every third commercial is for oil and gas and weapons manufacturers, not because they're trying to get the word out, but because they're buying favorable coverage, that's what they're doing. When you see a commercial for a defense contractor on MSNBC or CNN or Fox News, they're not marketing. They're buying favorable coverage. They're buying silence about the war machine. That's what they're doing. And it is allowed in the United States. It shouldn't be legal. It should be illegal. When you say our media shouldn't be legal, that's not an embellishment. That's accurate. Our media structure there should be laws prohibiting what CNN and MSNBC and Fox News do. It should be against the law because it's a basic conflict of interest. And by the way, it has nothing to do with freedom of speech. If you're thinking, well, doesn't that go against freedom of speech? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. What it has to do with is the right to information and the right to and having a news infrastructure that actually serves people and allows them to make informed decisions. When you have a media structure that is tainted to the nth degree because it just bows down to its advertisers, which are very powerful entities buying coverage, and these are the people who are destroying the planet, who are pursuing endless war, that's not news and information. That's propaganda. That's straight up propaganda. So, and when you have a structure like that, that allows stuff like this to happen. And we've had a very complicit society when it comes to Edward Snowden. We've had a very complicit society when it comes to Julian Assange. We've had a very complicit society when it comes to Chelsea Manning. And I know there's a lot of content creators and activists out there who are refusing to let that story die. And, you know, my heart goes out to all of them. And I am so thankful for what all of them are doing. And I'm proud and honored to be part of it and hope to continue to be. But this is what happens. So I am glad there are some bright spots here. The fact that she is getting some coverage, that Rebekah Jones is getting some coverage, even in the corporate media, and people are spreading this around, this information, which I guess maybe in these COVID times, that's a weird turn of phrase to use. They're spreading it around. It's spreading, folks. It's the good kind of spreading. Spread information, not germs. That's going to be the new Get Your News On with Ron slogan. Spread information, not germs. And hey, I'm not a Chris Cuomo fan, still not, but I'll tip my hat to the guy for having her on. That's good that happened. So there you have it.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and